Chapter 1. First Light in Kingsgate Village. The first light of dawn stretches softly across the rooftops of Kingsgate Village, nested in the shadows of Winchester Cathedral. It begins as the faintest brush of silver, tracing the outline of the ancient stone walls. Slowly, it deepens into a tender rose gold, as though the sky itself is waking with a gentle smile. The cobbled streets below are still, quiet and glistening with the dew of night. Each stone has its own history, smoothed by centuries of footsteps, pilgrims, poets, shopkeepers, and children at play. Now, for just a little while, the cobbles rest in silence, waiting for the first stirrings of the day. At the corner where Canon Street meets Kingsgate Street, the Winchester Arms pub sits in slumber. Its wooden sign sways in the faint morning breeze, groaning softly against its iron chain. By night, this is a place of laughter, clinking glasses, and stories told by firelight. But in the hush of early morning, the shutters are drawn, the lamps are dark, and the building seems to breathe in a long, contented sigh. From this quiet corner, if you wander a little way up Canon Street, the silence begins to change. There, ahead, a warm light glows from a small window. It is steady and golden, spilling across the cobbles like a promise. This is the village bakery, already awake while the rest of the street still dreams. Inside, the baker is beginning his day. He ties his apron with practiced ease, humming softly under his breath. The ovens crackle and warm the air, filling the room with a comfort that seeps into every corner. On the wooden counter, clouds of flour rise like drifting snow each time his hands press into the dough. The gentle rhythm of kneading, push, fold, rest, turn, fills the bakery with a sound as soothing as a heartbeat. The baker works slowly, lovingly, as if each loaf carries not just bread, but a piece of the village's soul. He knows who will come for which role, who favors rye, who prefers a crusty loaf, and who will arrive early just to share a word of kindness. Every loaf, every bun, every golden croissant is part of this tapestry of care. Outside, the world remains hushed. The faintest thread of wood smoke lingers in the cool air, drifting from hearths that burn through the night. The air smells of damp earth and stone, an ancient fragrance of the city. And now, mingling with it, comes the very first hint of bread. It curls out from the bakery's door, twining along Canon Street like a secret invitation. The scent drifts gently past the silent pub on the corner, slips toward the elegant windows of the cornflower shop of miscellaneous wonders, and even teases the shutters of the little bookstore on nearby College Street. It is a fragrance of welcome, of warmth, of home. Though the village is still half asleep, the bakery's breath of comfort begins to stir it awake. Inside, the baker pauses for a moment. He leans on the counter, wiping his flour-dusted hands, and gazes at the small flame flickering in the oven's heart. There is a quiet joy in being first to greet the day. In this calm hour, before footsteps echo on the stones, before doors open and voices rise, there is only the steady promise of bread, and the certainty that soon neighbours will gather again. And so, in the first light of dawn, Kingsgate Village begins to wake, not with noise, but with warmth. A pub at rest, a cobbled street at peace, and a bakery already glowing with life. Chapter 2. The scent of bread on Canon Street. As the sky lightens, the bakery grows warmer. Inside, the ovens hum like old friends, steady and dependable. The first loaves begin to rise, their crusts slowly turning golden, sending tendrils of steam curling through the air. The scent is rich and comforting, flour, yeast, and warmth mingling together into something timeless. The baker pauses, closes his eyes, and breathes it in. It is the fragrance of home, the fragrance of nourishment, the fragrance of togetherness. He smiles softly, for he knows the village will soon share in this quiet joy. The door to the bakery is propped open just a crack, letting the warmth spill out into the cool morning. The aroma drifts down Canon Street, winding its way past the cobbles, reaching the corner where the Winchester Arms pub still slumbers in shadow. The pub is silent now, but the bread's fragrance seems to tap gently at its shutters, as though to say, "The day has begun. All is well." The breeze carries the scent further, across to the cornflower shop of miscellaneous wonders. Its tall windows, dressed with elegant fabrics and delicate curiosities, remain dark for now. But even in the half-light, the displays seem to shimmer faintly, as though the bread's perfume has awakened them too. The silks appear softer, the porcelain warmer, the little brass trinkets catching the faintest glint of dawn. Further along, toward College Street, where the bookstore rests, the fragrance slips quietly beneath the shutters. Inside, the rows of books stand in patient silence, their pages holding centuries of stories. And perhaps, if one listens closely, even the books themselves sigh with contentment, comforted by the promise of bread baking nearby. Back inside the bakery, the baker moves from loaf to loaf, checking each one with gentle hands. He brushes flour from his palms, adjusts the flame, and sets trays of rolls along the counter. Some are plump and round, ready to be torn open to reveal their soft hearts. Others are slender and crisp, with crusts that will shatter like delicate glass when broken. Each has its place, each has its purpose, each will soon find its way into familiar hands. The village outside remains hushed, but the air is alive now. The fragrance of bread has worked its quiet magic, weaving itself into the stones, the timbers, the very soul of Canon Street. Birds stir in the hedgerows, offering soft notes of song, as though they too are drawn by the invisible trail of comfort, curling through the dawn. The baker lights a small lantern and places it in the window, though it is no longer needed. It is a tradition, an old gesture to say that the ovens are warm, the bread is ready, and the day is welcome here. The glow joins the fragrance, turning the bakery into a beacon of gentleness, a quiet promise to every passerby. Here you will find warmth. Here you will find kindness. Here you will find home. And so, Canon Street begins to stir, not with noise, not with hurry, but with the patient unfolding of morning. The pub rests, the cornflower shop waits, the bookstore dreams, and in the midst of them, the bakery breathes life into the village, loaf by loaf, scent by scent, moment by moment. Chapter 3. Stones and Stories. Not far from Canon Street, beyond the bakery's warm glow, stands the old medieval church. Its walls are folded into the ancient fortifications of the old Winchester citadel, as though the stones themselves were determined to keep watch over the village for all time. The church has stood through countless dawns, each one different, each one the same. This morning, the rising light brushes gently against its worn facade. The stones, weathered and softened by centuries of wind and rain, glow faintly in the pale sun. Moss and ivy cling to the cracks, like green lace upon an old garment, reminding all who pass that nature and history are ever intertwined. The great wooden door is closed for now, but within there lingers the echo of centuries of prayer, whispers of voices, the shuffle of footsteps, the hush of candles being lit. All remain, woven invisibly into the air. It is as though the church breathes quietly, waiting for the day's first visitors, guarding the memories of those who once walked these same cobbles. From the bakery window, the baker often glances toward the old walls. Though his hands are busy with flour and dough, his heart is steady with the knowledge that he works in the shadow of such endurance. The church, the citadel walls, the stones of Winchester, all of them remind him that life flows like a river, and that his small acts of care are part of something greater, something timeless. On mornings like this, when the streets are still, he imagines the countless bakers who came before him. Generations of hands kneading dough, stoking ovens, greeting neighbours at dawn, each one different, each one a thread in the fabric of the village's story. The thought brings him peace, as though he, too, is another link in a long unbroken chain. Beyond the church, the walls of the citadel stretch out, silent and strong. Once, they stood as protection. Now, they stand as memory. And the people of the village walk past them each day, reminded that they are part of a story much larger than their own. A bird perches upon the highest stone, singing a note so clear it seems to carry across the centuries. The sound mingles with the drifting scent of bread, as though the present moment and all the years that came before have folded together into one. In this meeting of past and present, stone and bread, history and home, there is comfort. The village is alive, rooted in memory, carried by tradition, and gently unfolding into another day. And the bakery, with its golden loaves and steady rhythm, is part of it all, an everyday miracle woven into Winchester's ancient story. Chapter 4. Neighbours on the Lane. As the morning deepens, the cobbles of Canon Street begin to echo with soft footsteps. The first visitors arrive at the bakery, each one drawn by the golden scent drifting into the dawn. The door creaks open, and in steps the postman, his satchel slung across his shoulder. He is still half dreaming, but the sight of the baker's smile wakes him more kindly than any cup of tea. The baker sets aside a warm roll, just as he does each morning, knowing the postman prefers one still steaming, the crust crisp against the softness within. They exchange a few words, a joke about the weather, a kind wish for the day, and then the postman disappears once more into the street, his path lighter than before. Soon after, the bell above the door rings again. An elderly woman, wrapped in her shawl, steps carefully inside. Her cane clicks softly on the floorboards, a familiar sound that always makes the baker pause with tenderness. Without needing to ask, he brings her a small loaf, the one she loves best, soft and easy to slice. She thanks him, her voice gentle and grateful, and he slips an extra roll into her basket, a quiet gift. Her smile is brighter than the morning sun as she turns to go, and the baker feels his heart warm as though he, too, has been given something precious. Not long after, a new face appears. It is the bookshop owner from College Street, his spectacles perched on the end of his nose. He comes each morning for a crusty loaf, strong and hearty, to share with his wife before opening the shutters of their little shop. He lingers for a moment at the counter, speaking fondly of a new book just arrived, or a passage of poetry that kept him awake the night before. The baker listens, nodding, enjoying the rhythm of the man's words as much as the aroma of the bread. And then Just as the sun climbs higher, a pair of school children skip through the door. They have saved a few coins between them, just enough for 2 small buns. Their laughter fills the bakery like birdsong, their bright eyes reflecting the golden loaves stacked neatly on the shelves. The baker wraps their buns in paper, tucking in an extra sweet for each, knowing how much joy such a small kindness can bring. The children thank him breathlessly and dash back into the street, their voices trailing behind them in happy echoes. One by one, the villagers arrive, each with their own story, each with their own needs, each leaving the bakery not only with bread, but with something more, a smile, a word of comfort, a little reminder that they belong. The bakery becomes a gentle gathering place, the quiet heart of the morning. The wooden counter, dusted with flour, is no longer just a place for loaves, but a place where kindness is exchanged. And as the bell rings again and again, the baker feels the same deep truth that greets him each morning, that bread is more than nourishment. It is connection, it is care, it is love, shared in the simplest form. Chapter 5. Stillness and Belonging. At last, the morning bustle fades. The stream of neighbours slows to a trickle, and the bakery grows quiet once more. The shelves, once full and fragrant, now show gaps where loaves have been chosen, where rolls and buns have found their way into waiting hands. The air is still warm, carrying the soft perfume of flour and crust, mingled with the gentle hush of cooling ovens. The baker steps to the doorway and leans against the frame. Canon Street lies before him, washed in golden light. The cobblestones glisten, their dampness drying now in the warmth of the sun. At the corner, the Winchester Arms pub looks peaceful in its rest, the sign creaking lazily as though it, too, is enjoying the day's first breath. Across the way, the cornflower shop of miscellaneous wonders gleams, its windows now catching the full brightness of morning. The silks and curios sparkle faintly, as if bowing politely to the day. And further down, toward College Street, the little bookstore opens its shutters, spilling the promise of stories into the fresh air. The baker closes his eyes for a moment, listening. The footsteps of villagers have softened, replaced by the distant murmur of birdsong and the low hum of the city beyond. The medieval church, folded into the citadel's ancient walls, keeps its quiet watch, steady as ever. It has seen countless mornings just like this, and countless more still to come. The baker breathes deeply, filling his chest with the calmness of it all. He feels the rhythm of the village, past and present, flowing gently around him, like a river that has carried generations along its steady course. And here, in this little bakery on Canon Street, he knows he is part of that same current, contributing something simple, something lasting, something kind. The thought comforts him, that every loaf carried out his door is more than food. It is a piece of connection, a quiet gift of warmth, a reminder that no one in this village is alone. The baker returns inside, removes his apron, and sets a small loaf aside for himself. He pours a cup of tea, settles by the window, and watches the sunlight stretch across the street. With each sip, his heart slows, his thoughts soften, and the day feels whole. For in the quiet rhythm of bread and stone, of people and place, there is peace. And as Kingsgate Village stirs into life, the bakery rests at its heart, steady, warm, and welcoming. A place where each day begins not with noise or hurry, but with kindness. And that kindness, like the rising of the sun, will always return.